So do you primarily help veterans, or you're more in the entrepreneur world with the payroll company where you help everyone? What is your
The
thing?
company is in the entrepreneurial world, and we work with clients of all shapes and sizes around the
Nice.
country. So it's hard in business like this to focus on just veterans, though obviously being one, we welcome them, and they, regardless of the service. And I'm a Marine, uh, and once a Marine, always a Marine. They're all welcome. They're all brothers
Yeah.
and sisters.
Yeah. You're not going to turn someone away because they were like Army.
No, well, Air Force particularly, but you know how it goes.
Yeah. I mean, there's got to be a little bias there. It's fine.
Yeah. My sister was Army, my father was Navy, so
Oh, wow. Did they go to like the Army Navy games or the Navy Army games? That's a
no,
thing.
we never got up there. We grew up in Iowa.
Okay.
So the most we'd go to would be the Iowa games up in
Nice.
Iowa City. So
That's good. And so so you're a CPA, correct?
yes, ma'am.
So you get out of the military. Did you have training in the military for being a CPA, or was that a career after your career?
Actually, in the military, I was a computer programmer and systems engineer,
Oh, wow.
as well as a combat infantryman. The Marine Corps doesn't waste anybody.
Yeah.
So when I got out, I found that my training was not valued in the business community.
Hmm.
I actually had a company here in Dallas who was moving from 1401 to 360, those are old computer systems, and from autocoder to COBOL, and it was an insurance company. My last project in the Marine Corps was doing that exact same thing and moving the Joint Unified Military Pay System from 1401 to 360.
Okay.
And the insurance company HR recruiter couldn't understand or believe that my experience in the Marine Corps would be useful in the civilian world in a business environment. He was an idiot.
Yeah.
So the company a few years later went bankrupt, and I've always suspected because they hired the wrong people.
Yep.
But I
So
think
many
HR
times
did
it's
them
all
in.
about, so many times it's about having the right people on the bus, as they say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that said, Charles, go to college,
Okay.
uh, get your certifications, so they'll believe your experience matters, even though it's the same experience.
Right.
So
So
I
now
got
you
my
have like the letters you could put after your name.
BBA, MBA, CPA,
Yeah.
USTCP now, the whole bit. Yeah.
Yep. Isn't that funny how people respect like those acronyms more than the actual experience, which, like you said, literally translates to everything you're doing?
Exactly. I mean, I learned more about accounting in my first accounting job than I ever learned in college.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because my son is a senior at Baylor right now, business finance. And I have a feeling it's going to be much of the same, where he's going to get the majority of his experience from work, not what he
Oh,
learned there.
absolutely. No, there's some theory you've learned, and there's some background that's always useful. But yeah, you learn on the job.
Yeah. I like that. Do you find the CPA world kind of boring though, or you like it? It really excites you?
No, it's boring as hell at times.
Okay.
I mean, I go to conferences, I used to, with
Yeah.
CPAs. They're all up in their rooms by 8:30 at night,
Oh, wow.
asleep. I mean, there's no nightlife at a CPA conference. Okay. The dealers in Vegas hate us. Only a CPA will split kings at a blackjack table. Okay.
Very conservative, right? Very, do the
Yeah,
right thing. Yeah.
we roll up the streets before the sun sets. Okay. So they can be very boring. That's why I don't do much CPA work anymore. So I like the payroll company.
Mhm.
It's all business to business. It's all varied businesses, and it's not dull. But for somebody who's not real extroverted, CPA world is very comfortable,
Yeah.
very easy. It made a very nice living for myself and my wife. Um, When I went out on my own, it became far more interesting.
Yeah.
But, you know, being a CPA and working for the government or a major corporation, uh, to a CPA, it's satisfying. But yeah, it tends to be a little bit staid.
Yeah. Well, it seems to me you have more of an entrepreneurial spirit, which can't necessarily be taught. It's sort of like you either are that way or you're more like the CPA, like you just want like the steady routine and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I grew up in a family business. My father was an entrepreneur. We had the office was at the house. My mother worked with him. You know, I started at 6 making photocopies,
Mm.
old wet Verifax photocopies in the office, and later graduated putting stamps on envelopes and filing and so on. So I grew up in a family business, and it seemed to me that was natural. Uh, and so starting my own business seemed like a, you know, just an ordinary step. And I started it with my wife. Now, my parents worked together,
Mm.
and I thought that was, you know, just okay, natural, right?
Normal. Yeah.
And then I started a business with my wife, and I found out working with your wife is an unnatural act. So,
Fact. Yes, I worked with my husband for, well, we still work together, even though we're separated. So yes, absolutely. 20 something years.
it's a. I swear I'm going to write a book on it one day, but you know, wow, it'd be a contentious book to say the least.
Well, it's difficult because, like, oh, leave work at work. Well, it doesn't like work that way. You want to decompress and talk about your day, but then all of a sudden you're talking about work. So there's like, it's difficult to create the separation for sure.
Extremely difficult. Ruth, my wife, would have this tendency. We'd get home, we'd have dinner, we'd get ready for bed, we'd get into bed, and she'd have one last thing to get off her chest. She'd tell me about it. She'd roll over and go to sleep. And I'd sit there worrying till 2 or 3 in the morning about this thing.
Oh,
So we
boy.
made a rule that after dinner, no more business.
Mm.
That meant for some very late dinners some nights, but you know, because we had to redefine our roles.
Yeah.
At home, you know, like most good husbands, happy wife, happy life. Okay, she ran the house. My father's favorite Chinese proverb: "Man who say he master an own house, also lie about other things." Okay,
I
but
like
at
that
work,
one.
yes. At work, I'm the CPA, I'm the expert, I'm the professional, I'm the one with all the training. That wasn't her field. She took one accounting class, went twice, and said no. That's that was the end of that.
Yeah.
Uh, so at work, it had to be my way, and I had to make the professional decisions. Well, she's used to telling me what to do, and
Mm.
so we had to redefine, as you said, redefine that whole relationship.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, building in boundaries, like when is it okay? When is it not? That was stuff that we were not good at. We were 24/7 because of my business, 24/7 all the time. And so we didn't create those boundaries or that space or clearly defined roles either. It's
Yes.
and then throw some kids in the mix. And now you got all kinds of different hats you're wearing. And it is difficult to sort all that out unless you consciously make the separated times and whatnot for that.
Yeah, and I think you have to make it work.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just going to be a nightmare.
Yeah. You guys still work together?
She passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
She's been gone 8 years. So
8 years. Okay.
and I miss her every day.
Love of your life.
We were married for 45 years.
Wow. That's not an easy feat, especially working together for the majority of that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what made you want to join the military? If you had the entrepreneurial and the business aspect, why join the military?
Well, I disliked high school immensely. I was too smart for my own good and too outspoken to put up with the regimentation that they wanted at that point in schools. So I wasn't ready for college. I was working 2 jobs after high school. I was 17. You know, I couldn't legally drink. I couldn't do a lot of things. And my family has been citizen soldiers for over 200 years. I
Wow.
mean, we go back to the Revolutionary War.
What is it?
One of
Hold
my
on. What is a citizen soldier? Real quick.
we don't serve. We're not career soldiers.
Okay.
We go serve when we need to.
Gotcha. Okay.
We're citizens that have served as soldiers. It goes back. One of my ancestors is George Reed, who signed the Declaration of Independence. So
Wow.
I didn't know the guy, so I can't really comment. But
It's your DNA, though. That's your lineage. That's really cool.
exactly, it's fun. So we've always served.
Got it.
Every generation serves. I have three sisters. Two of them served in the military.
Mm.
Dad was a naval officer during World War II and was a reserve officer as I grew up for 20 some odd years after the war.
Yeah.
So we were around it, and he took me on training duty one time, dropped me at grandmother's, but took me aboard the USS Boxer when I was 5 years old. It's an aircraft carrier. I remember walking up the gangplank. So the military was not something to be feared. It was something to be embraced.
Was it
So
expected or like an obligation?
No, it was just part of what we did.
Yeah.
There was no pushing or anything else. It's just we grew up around it, and it was just part of our world.
Yeah.
So at 17, I said, I'm tired of working. I'm not ready for college. Want to do something else. Of course, I can't drink. I can't do a lot of things. Can't sign a lease on an apartment. Can't do anything like that. So I joined the Marine Corps. My parents signed off on it, and I spent 4 years in the United States Marine Corps, 2 years
Nice.
overseas, a combat tour in Vietnam,
Wow.
and when I came back, I was stationed in Kansas City, and that's where I met Ruth and married her.
Nice.
She was 10 years older than I was and had 5 children. I'm sure my parents weren't too happy about it, but
It's
they
your
grew to
life.
love her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my life.
So you helped raise
So,
these children?
oh yes.
Nice. All right. Just real quick, I want to back up. Why the Marines? If your parents were what, Army and Navy, right? And you chose
My
Marine?
father was Navy. Grandfather was Army.
Yeah.
Mostly Army before that.
Mhm.
Well, if you're going to join, you might as well join the toughest, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Were they like contentious about that, or they were very supportive? Yeah.
Very supportive of that.
Nice.
So it's just, if you be the best you can be. I mean, so I wanted to be part of the Marine Corps, and it has some advantages. It gives you forever bragging rights.
That's right. That's
So,
right. That's awesome. Yeah, my uncle is a Marine, and he joined the Marines very young, and then he's done reserves for the last 20 something years.
yeah, I kind of wish I'd stayed in the reserves, but I chose not to at the time, and it's okay. I'm still a
Yeah.
Marine.
That's right. Forever. You always will be.
Forever. Once a Marine, always a Marine.
Yeah. Yeah. So now, are you at this point in life, like this is what you're going to do? Or are you consistently looking for new avenues or new venues to expand on?
Well, we've been in the business now for 30 some odd years.
Wow.
I say we. Started this in 91. So I'm probably not going to go anywhere at my age, but we're going to continue to expand the business and grow it and provide additional services within the business as we grow and things change and the world changes. So it's not like it is cast in stone. We're adding new marketing things all the time. Technology changes. The law changes constantly.
Oh, yeah.
A few years ago, I became a U.S. Tax Court Practitioner to better serve my clients. The one thing I might do, and I've considered it off and on, is go back and go to law school to get a law degree. But
Wow.
really, most of my legal work would be in tax court anyway, and I'm already licensed to practice there.
Yeah. That sounds like a lot of work for, I don't know what return. You got to like school for that.
Well, I always enjoyed school, and I'm a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
I read and study and take classes and do things all the time to improve my skills and knowledge and expertise.
That's awesome.
And and the knowledge is not just business, but life and the world and everything. I mean, I think lifelong learning is a good thing.
For sure. I don't think anyone will ever know everything.
Oh,
And we can never look at life like that. Like, I got what I needed. I'm good now.
no, it was about 1900 that was when it was still able to be able to discuss uh, all the science that existed as an educated individual. Now there's no possible way you can be anywhere even acquainted with everything that goes on in the world of science, let alone industry. It's just impossible. There's way too much, and that's something I had to learn. Besides being a CPA, I also became a stockbroker and a registered investment advisor and so on, because that was a way I was told in the seminars and the conference I went to, it expands your CPA practice. You can't do both. You can't advise people on the market and investing and advise them on taxes. There's either field is too much for an individual to handle. You can't do both effectively. So I gave up the investment practice, even though it was something I enjoyed. I couldn't do it effectively for my clients. I was doing them a disservice by being a tax expert and trying to be an investing expert.
Totally
I've
makes
gotten to the point
sense.
where I have a financial advisor now, because I don't have the time to keep up on the market for myself, let
Yeah.
alone clients. So I have a professional that handles my money because he's better at it than I am. So that's why I pay him.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. That's actually exactly the field that my son's getting into is financial advising and that sort of thing, which is I know nothing about. I know he's going to have to create and develop and earn it. You know, it's just because you have a degree, especially in that, doesn't make you an expert. So there's going to be a lot of hustle he has to do for a long time.
Yes, there's a lot to learn and a lot to keep up on, and it is an ever-changing environment. There's
Right.
new products, new ideas, new investment vehicles, new tax laws, changes all the time. It is not a static environment.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I mean, even just seeing what's happening in the world now, I can only imagine things are rapidly changing all the time.
Right. I mean, the whole crypto thing blew up, blew off, blew down, coming back. I mean, that's a whole different um, vehicle for a lot of different things, the whole blockchain concept and so on. So, and that's invading accounting and business as well, both blockchain and crypto.
Yeah, it is so foreign to me. Like you know, and part of these entrepreneur groups will bring people in, and now we're talking about Doge coins and these kinds of things, and it is so just like so over my head. I'm like, I don't understand it. I don't have the time to understand it, and therefore I'm not going to invest in it because it makes no sense to me. I do not understand this.
Well, and that's not a bad thing. You look at Warren Buffett, and he will not invest in an industry he does not understand.
Mm.
That's a cardinal rule of his. If he doesn't understand what they do, why they do it, how they do it, he doesn't invest in it because he can't understand it and judge it effectively because he doesn't understand it. So that's a cardinal rules of Buffett's.
Oh, good. Oh, good. I'm doing something right. I'm like, I understand gold and silver. Okay, precious metals. We can do that.
There you go. You and Warren Buffett. There you go.
Dang, who knew? Well, okay, that's good. That makes me feel better about myself. So when my son's trying to get me to invest in all this crazy stuff, I'll be like, no, let's just go with the good and steady that I understand.
The way to handle that is when your son starts in on that, look at him and remember changing his diapers. That'll put it all in perspective.
Exactly. Here's like $5. Go play with that. Let me know how it goes.
Exactly.
And then come back to me in a year. And if you grew that $5 into $100, then maybe we'll put in some more.
Exactly. And then I'll put in $100. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. All right, deal. That's how I'm going to approach it. So payroll, yeah, we've changed payroll companies a few times, and it's like you said, I feel like the biggest part of that is having a good workable processes and procedures and workable dashboards. I actually ran my payroll. I only turned it over this year. So I ran my payroll for 29 years personally. I just didn't trust the systems, or when you're messing with employees' money, you got to make sure that it's right every time, all the time, or else you're going to hear about it. And so some of the struggles that we've gone through is companies not progressing fast enough to keep up with the changing times.
Absolutely. And
like as far as like a dashboard, or even just processing and the needs and wants of each person.
The field changes constantly. The law changes, technology changes, expectation changes. When I first started in payroll, everything was called in, or then we got to faxes. And things got faxed in and processed. Now it's all almost all electronic.
Yep.
But we maintain the flexibility. We have clients call us from odd places in the world and say, "Oh, you need to run payroll for my people. Just pay them what I paid them last week," and that's fine. We can do that. When you deal with us, you're dealing with individual people. You're not dealing with a call center.
That's nice. That's nice, because that used to happen to me. Like in the early days, we did payroll through like Wells Fargo, so it's called Express Pay, and I would call every Thursday with my 50 employees and their hours and stuff, and it was frustrating because you're always talking to someone different, a lot of times not even from this country, and so it was just a somewhat painful process every single week. So I like the automation of it, and the fact that you get, possibly the same person you talk to every week.
Yeah, you can talk to the same person all the time. And I tell everybody, if you don't get the answer you expect or want, just ask for Charles. If I'm in the office, I'll pick up the phone and talk to you. And I run the business. Nice. So, try calling the president of ADP.
Yeah, not happening.
I did one time just to see what would happen. Got the switchboard. I said, "Can I talk to the president?" She said, "The president of what?" I said, "The president of ADP." "Oh, let me check." About 2 minutes later, she came back on and said, "He doesn't have a phone." I said, "You're telling me that the president of a multi-billion-dollar company does not have a phone on his desk?" "Well, I'm sure he does, but we can't connect to it." So if a client calls with a complaint, he can't talk to the president of the company. "Oh, that's right." By now I'm laughing so hard. I had to hang up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at least just send it to his voicemail or something, just to openly say, like, "Good luck, you're not going to talk to him."
Well, major companies normally have a senior VP or a very sophisticated group. PNC has a lady who reports to the president. AT&T used to have a group of 5 people, and they took those calls. And they had the ability to get things done within the company because they were specifically authorized by senior management with that authority. But the payroll companies I've dealt with, just other than myself, you're just kind of in the wind.
Yeah, and left to whoever happens to pick up the phone or answer your question, and
you get the call center maybe in the Philippines. Yeah,
exactly, which I dealt with a lot. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just a duplication thing. There's an extra barrier there that makes things difficult when you're trying to get things duplicated precisely.
And it doesn't need to be there.
Yeah. So you've homegrown your business, and
yes,
nice. How many
employees? We're all here in Lewisville, Texas, just north of Dallas.
Lewisville, Texas. Okay, I'm not familiar with that. like I said, my son goes to Baylor. So I just flew out of Dallas yesterday on my way home. And so I've gotten a little acclimation there. Like I know where Frisco is, Fort Worth, obviously Austin and Houston down in the other end, and San
But
Antonio.
if you drive up I-35 from
Okay.
Baylor,
Yep.
go through Dallas, don't take 35E instead of 35W, you'll cross Lake Louisville, about 10 miles north of Dallas, and we're just on the south side of the lake.
Nice. And do you have everybody coming into the office, or do you have remote employees?
We have people who are hybrid.
Okay.
They work part of the time out of the house and they work part of the time in the office. This happened in COVID, obviously.
Yeah.
And we just have never said you got to be in the office. The work gets done. Makes the employees happier, which anything that makes them happier is good for me. And
Yeah.
as long as the work gets done and the quantity and the quality of work stay up, I don't care. I mean, everything today is electronic. It's all in the cloud.
Yeah.
So, disaster recovery has become very simple. If the building gets hit by a tornado tonight, we just work from the house.
Mm.
It's all stored in a server in Amazon someplace with a backup someplace else. And so we just don't have some of the disaster problems that used to be, a major concern.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's capable of working from the house. We set all that up during COVID. So if the building disappears, the only thing I won't be able to do is podcasts like this in my nice little studio.
Yeah. Which
with a green screen.
Yeah. Which is okay. It's fine. I mean, I've had people podcast from their cars, in their rooms. Like, yeah, you can do that also from anywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that because, back in the day, like God forbid your computer went down and you hadn't backed it up. And I had that happen. Then you lose all that work. And it was a very painful lesson to not, get that backup done. And of course, once it happened to me, I'm like, oh, that'll never happen again. And then time happens and you forget to put in that floppy disk or whatever it is and back that up. And constantly it all could be wiped away, all that hard work.
We were with a different software company years ago, and they did not have a duplicate server.
Wow.
And when they had a problem, it took them 5 days to get it back up.
Wow.
So we make sure that everything we have is in multiple locations. So if there's a natural disaster, it doesn't matter. We're having literally grown up in the data processing, because I went into it when I was 17 in the Marine Corps. Backup and duplicate servers and all this stuff is just second nature.
Yeah. That's smart.
You got to do it. And I've been burned. We've all been burned. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Or we thought we backed it up and we didn't. Or like you said, papers get destroyed, file cabinets get messed up. Things are much safer now, which is nice, because then you're just more efficient with your time. You're not having to spend your time ensuring that everything is safe.
Yeah, I mean, we used to have a room that was nothing but notebooks full of paper of clients. That's now all on an optical disc that's backed up offsite automatically every day. So the world changes.
The world does. What are some of the upcoming trends that you've been noticing with just observing payroll? Because I used to love running payroll because I felt like that kept me with a finger on the pulse of what was happening within my company just by watching hours and things like that. Like people don't realize there's a lot you can derive just from payroll.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's things happening in terms of on-demand payroll, which is a new thing where you can get paid whenever you want. That's happening and evolving.
What does that mean? Like you work one day and you're like, I need to get paid on that one day, or?
Right. If you work for Uber, you can get paid 5 times a day.
Oh, wow.
You just, after you've done a couple of trips, you just tell them to pay you and it's deposited into your bank account. Now that's as a independent contractor. It's a little more tough with employees because there's taxes and so
Yeah.
on and so forth. But that's all evolving. There's lots of vendors out there that are pushing new and extended techniques. Debit cards are a big thing and will get bigger for the unbanked. Obviously, direct deposit has gotten fairly universal. Between it and debit cards, there's no reason to have paper checks, which are subject to fraud. Check fraud is a huge thing, and every time you write payroll checks, you're inviting fraud. So it's best to be on direct deposit.
Yeah. And I'm always shocked when I have a handful of employees that just won't do direct deposit. And then they just sit on their checks. I'm like, are you going to cash that? Because, it does have an expiration on the bottom, or they lose it. And it's like, well, of course, you're carrying around this piece of paper. Like, what are you waiting for?
Number of states, including Texas, have gone to where you can mandate electronic payroll.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And now in Texas, you can't demand where. In other words, you can't say you have to bank at such and such a bank
Sure.
for your direct deposit, but you can say you are going to get electronic pay.
So I could see that affecting people who maybe have bad credit and can't have a bank account.
Debit card.
Yep. Exactly.
You can take that debit card to Walmart, buy your groceries and get cash back. You can take it to a bank. You can take it to an ATM and get your money.
Sure.
The states require some things. For instance, they have to be able to get all their payroll off the debit card without cost.
Okay.
But that's one time. So they can take it to a bank and get 100% of their money. Okay. So that makes it legal. They can go to Walmart and get cash back for what they don't spend. So it makes it convenient for the employer, and it provides safety for the employee. As long as they don't write their PIN number on the back of the card, if they lose the card, they just have to wait a day or two to get a replacement.
Yeah, just void it. And
we just issue a new card. And that's all there is to it. And all their money's still there. Nice. So they can't lose it. They can't get robbed. Their check can't get washed. They can't get defrauded. They can't lose their wallet. If they lose their wallet, they get another card. It's that simple. So there's a lot of safety involved for the employees, and there's no cost. It used to be you'd take your check down to the liquor store and cash it.
Yep.
And they take 2% off the top. Okay. None of that exists anymore. It doesn't have to. So we really encourage electronic payroll where possible. And many states have gone where you can mandate it, and the rest will come to it in time.
Absolutely. Are you seeing ability to pay in digital money yet?
We actually offered cryptocurrency.
You do?
For payroll, Crypto-payroll. We did. Our intermediary has gone out of the business because with the crash in crypto here, it became unsustainable. We will go back to it at some point in time, but we were offering Crypto-payroll for our clients in multiple ways, either in cold storage for Bitcoin or to a wallet that they can convert to any of the currencies they wanted.
Interesting.
We were the first payroll company to do that. And that's when you asked, change and so on. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We keep up on those things. We offer those kinds of things. We're talking to our clients right now because a number of states have mandated retirement programs for your employees on a must enroll them basis.
Like 401k kind of things. Yeah.
Exactly. Like a 401k or certain other the IRAs and so on. SEP IRAs and so on. So we're going to all of our clients in those states and saying, hey, this is not a requirement that you're going to have to deal with. Here's how we can solve the problem for you. We can set you up with a 401k through several different providers, and it will solve your problem, and you're shut of it. Nice. Another thing that's happening right now is the rules on independent contractors are changing again. There had been a new rule that the Trump administration proposed that was supposed to go into effect in March of 21, and the Biden administration canceled it. They issued a new order. They put it out for comment, and it will probably go into effect. I figured it would go into effect late this year. It hasn't yet, so it'll be announced, I'm expecting soon, and that's going to change the landscape on classification again. And in all probability, if a different administration comes in at the end of 24 for the start of 25, it may change again.
Right. Right. Wow.
Because there's different philosophies in Republican and Democratic administrations about how these things should be treated, and they get to make the rules. And I would much prefer the rules stay the same, but they don't. 75% of all federal revenue comes through payroll.
Wow.
So every time Congress wants to do something with the revenue coming in, it probably affects payroll.
In meaning we get another deduction on our check
Or we get another deduction, or
as an
the
employer.
taxes change, or we get another mandate that we have to absorb.
Right.
Just
Like
we
a couple of years ago, like we had to give mandatory 5 days of COVID or something like that. And it was just expected as an employer, well, pay them. It's like, well, where are we supposed to come up with this money? Like, okay.
It's very easy for Congress to mandate that employers assume these expenses,
Yeah.
and the states and the federal government does it all the time. Unfunded mandates.
Yeah.
It's a real burden on small business.
Yeah. Well, it makes it so hard to survive. And you get why so many people prefer like an independent contractor, but then they start squeezing that so that you have to employ them. And then being an employer, there's so much cost that comes with that. And employees don't get it. They're like, well, you should pay me more. It's like, but do you know how much I paid to have you as an employee? It's beyond your dollar range. It's like, we have all this just to employ you.
Yeah, that's one of the things that employees don't get, is they don't see all the costs. I mean, most companies absorb some or all the cost of benefits, which are huge costs. They pay their share of the FICA, they pay all the unemployment tax, unemployment insurance, both state and federal, and other mandates all the time, let alone reporting obligations. In my most recent book, I list all the reporting obligations based on the size of your payroll. And so you have to, as you get bigger, there more and more and more. I mean, you get over 100, you get over 50, and then you get over 100 people. The EEOC requirements are just obscene.
Yeah. And then live in the state of California like I do. And there's a whole slew of other stuff that we pay.
We have clients all over California. We used to have an office in California, up in Petaluma.
Mm-hmm.
We closed it because we frankly didn't want to deal with the government in California. It was just overbearing.
Yeah.
And that's been probably 8-10 years ago we closed it.
Smart. It hasn't got better, that's for sure.
No, that's why we like Texas.
Yeah.
And it's to us, it's a much more friendly business state.
Yeah.
So we're glad we're here.
Smart. Well, and I feel like a lot of California businesses have moved to Texas or Florida or different Arizona. There's definitely been a very big surge for businesses to move to more friendly states.
Yeah, I mean, I love California. I spent years in Palo Alto,
Oh,
grandmother's house.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful state, and I love it dearly.
Yeah.
But the state government has made it difficult for businesses and our clients. Yeah, we deal with the unemployment and the revenue people all the time for our clients, and they're not easy to deal with.
That is a very nice way to put it.
and talking about independent contractors, the mess that SB 8 made out of that they had to reverse, and it's still all up in the air. They were going to make sure that Uber drivers were employees, and that just played havoc with the motion picture industry. It's just unintended consequences. And our politicians don't, in many cases, look at what could happen.
Right. Well, they're not business people. They're not successfully running businesses. So they don't look at the ramifications that some of these implementing things can do to a business. And a lot of times, I don't think they care. It's just whatever self-serving, whatever thing they're trying to do at that moment in time.
Well, they're trying to get more votes. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's one thing, like I know we struggle with locally. We have a big college here, and we notice, kids come in at 18, they register to vote, they vote on all this kind of stuff, and then they're out in a couple of years. And the taxpayers and the people left who are living here are stuck with the decisions made by these kids that are in and out within a few years, but they're allowed to basically, make decisions for us for, however long. So it's
exactly.
there's a frustrating process that I think could really be updated and should be looked at as far as like even that kind of stuff.
I think so too. And some states like California, where they allow all the municipalities to set employment rules and minimum wages and so on. And
Right.
you can have your business in one city, but if you send a worker to another city to do something, you have to change what you pay them.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
It gets really crazy.
Yeah. And then keep track of
So,
all that.
oh yeah, you have to track that. And then of course, if you miss it, you get sued.
Right.
Either by the employee or by the state or by both regulatory agencies. It can really be really crazy at times, and that's
It
what we
is.
do for our clients is we keep up with all of that. We keep up with all the changes in the law. We help them structure things so they don't get into trouble with the regulatory authorities. Our unique selling proposition is compliance.
Mm.
That's why I'm a U.S. Tax Court Practitioner. There's about 200 of us in the country.
That's it.
I'm the
Only 200.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I'm the only one that I know of that runs a payroll company.
Mm.
And it allows me to take my client's case and take it to U.S. Tax Court, even though I'm not an attorney. And we do that periodically. And knock on wood, so far I haven't lost a case. I will at some point. I promise you I'll lose one of them. But so far we're perfect.
Maybe.
If I live long enough. But compliance, the analogy I use is when I grew up, Pele was the world's best soccer player.
Mm.
Okay. Pele was a wonderful athlete. He's still alive. But I'm getting a no from, I guess he did pass away recently. He was alive here a couple of years ago. But if you take Pele, the most wonderful athlete he is, and you put him at second base in a New York Yankees uniform, he's lost. Mm-hmm. It's a whole different environment, a whole new different set of rules, a whole new playing field. Everything's different. You get to pick up the ball and throw it. I mean, soccer players just faint at that thought.
Yeah.
So a businessman who knows his business, understands it, takes care of his clients, is successful, is profitable. His clients love him. He gets things done. And then you say, now handle tax compliance. He's Pele at second base in a New York Yankees uniform. He is lost.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. We handle that aspect of it. We don't run your business. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an electrician. I'm not a dog groomer. I'm not a prophet. We have a prophet as a client. I'm not a lot of things. I can't run your business. I can't tell you how to do your job. But when it comes to tax compliance, we'll take care of it for you.
I like that. And I think you hit it on the head. Like our previous payroll company, they took on too much, like experts in everything. We're going to take on HR. We're going to take on compliance. We can do everything. We want to be your one-stop shop, but they did not have the expertise or personnel to handle all these things that they were trying to sell them as. And as I know for us as customers, we definitely hit some problems because they were not experts in these fields. They grew too much and took on too much, and they should not have. They should have stayed in their lane and been experts in that lane.
Exactly. When our clients come to us for HR, 401k, other things. We have partners who are specialists in that field, who are experts. Okay. They're smarter at it and more knowledgeable than I will ever be. And so we bring our clients to them and say, for solving these needs, which we see you need, here's an expert that can help you, that we vetted, that will give you a good price, won't cheat you, and is knowledgeable and an expert that we trust to be able to do these things. So we have a series of partners we use for our clients to do this, because we can't be experts in everything.
Right.
As an entrepreneur, your job is not to be the smartest person in the room. It's to hire the smartest person in the room.
Yep.
So we bring in outside experts. Now, in terms of tax compliance, that's me. We know it. Our people know it. We train on it. We understand it. My ops manager is almost as good as I am, and soon he'll be better. So, that's what we do. We handle the payroll, but for all the rest, we have experts that will provide you with their services that we vetted and understand and price appropriately and so on.
That's smart. And that's the way it should be. Like I know for myself, I clearly stay in my lane. I don't even pretend to know anything outside of me just running a drug rehab in California. Yeah, it's all about getting, like we talked about in the beginning of the show, getting the right people on the bus or utilizing those people in the areas that you have weakness.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think in our world, like in what I've recognized in the entrepreneur world, is that people do want to be the expert in all fields. And so they don't acknowledge their own weaknesses. They think they can do it all because they've been super successful over here. Obviously, I'm going to be successful over there. And they do disservice because of that.
Well, it goes back to, as I said, I was a registered investment advisor, but I couldn't do both.
Yeah.
There's no way you can be an expert in everything. You have to concentrate and focus, as you say, and then you get the right people on the bus. All you have to do is drive it. You've got the right people on the bus. Just drive it in the right direction, and everything will work out. So, you're exactly right.
Did you find that it was difficult when you were making that decision between the two? Was it just a knowledge thing, like a too much knowledge of knowing, or was it more serving different masters? Like it was difficult to be the best for him here because it kind of contradicted with what you did over there? Or were they totally fine and disrelated, so it didn't matter?
They were totally fine and disrelated, but I realized quickly that I couldn't keep current on both.
Yeah.
Even in accounting as a CPA, I'm an expert in a very narrow field. I'm an expert in employment taxes. Okay. I am an expert. I've worked with the IRS. I've lectured on it. I've written books on it. That field I understand, and I'm good at it. I don't have the time to do that in other fields.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a good knowledge of investing and investment vehicles and so on and so forth, but I don't have the time to vet every one of them and understand which companies are good and which ones are mediocre and who's the crooks. And insurance, I grew up in the insurance industry. It changes just like tax compliance changes. All these industries change, and you cannot, as a single individual, be an expert at all of them. And rather than try and grow the business to have experts in-house that I supervise, I would prefer to go to people who are entrepreneurs, who have built a business that understands that industry and is an expert at it and has multiple experts in-house and can do all that and keeps up on it. And I don't have to supervise it. So, I vet my partners very carefully, and I constantly look at them to make sure that they stay where they need to be in the industry. But yeah, it's much better for me to use somebody who's desperately interested in that industry and that expertise rather than trying to supervise somebody who may or may not be.
Absolutely. So is this it? Like you're going to do this until you retire, or you plan on maybe turning this over or selling it and then doing something else at some point?
I'm 74. So I'm probably going to do this until I quit.
Yeah.
The business is going to the employees. We're not going to
Really?
sell it. Yeah, they help me build it.
Yeah.
Why would I not give them the opportunity to? And frankly, my right hand person already owns a piece of the company.
Nice.
So it's going to go to them. It's probably going to be a leverage buyout of some sort. But yeah, why would I want to sell it to a competitor who won't treat my clients as well
Yep.
as my employees who value them? You know,
And who may
I
off
sell
your
them.
employees because they're not their employees and they want to put their
Right.
people in. Yep.
Yeah, and I trying to sell it to a major competitor. Just I fought these people for 30 years. I don't want to take their money.
Exactly. No, and
It-
that's how I feel too. Like there's no amount of money that would be worth that to me.
Yeah, it would be like taking 30 pieces of silver.
Yeah.
No, I'm not interested.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I am much the same way. It's my baby. It's my legacy. I would never give it to somebody who would not appreciate it or treat it the way that I would want my people and
Yeah.
my thing to be treated.
And my kids aren't interested in it, and that's fine.
Mm.
They have their own lives and their own careers and their own things. So I think my employees will be the best stewards of it, and they've risen to the occasion for years. So yeah, I think that's the way to go.
Nice. What do you do in your off time? Do you vacation on your PTO or you like to staycation? What do you do?
I don't vacation much since Ruth's gone. Traveling by myself just
Yeah.
doesn't seem as enticing as it was to travel with her. I read a lot. I play a lot of poker.
Oh,
I'm a profitable poker player.
nice. Like
Uh,
Hold'em at tournaments?
yes, at both tournaments and cash.
Nice.
So they've opened up several. Used to have to travel to Oklahoma, which is 52 miles to WinStar, but now several card houses have opened up in the Dallas area that are just social clubs that provide card rooms.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they're legal in Texas most of the time. It
Nice.
depends on it depends on the county. So
Yeah.
I play a lot of poker, read a great deal. I don't watch TV.
Oh, good for
I
you.
read a lot. I cook, and I have friends and acquaintances and do things and so on. But and I travel occasionally. I was up in Vermont here a few months ago and went down to Maryland to see some friends. And so, yeah.
Nice. Okay. So real quickly with poker, do you think because of your accounting, it helps you like count odds quickly? Like you can do things a little better or faster or different because of that knowledge?
Absolutely. The analytical bent that
Yeah.
you require to be a CPA. Okay. Touchy-feely people don't become CPAs. Okay.
Right.
They become salespeople or whatever.
Yeah.
Or drug counselors or whatever. The empirically analytical mindset that it takes to become a CPA is very suited to poker.
Mm.
The problem with that, though, is CPAs are not risk takers. And you have to be aggressive in poker to be successful. And that's something I've had to train myself on, is to be more aggressive at the poker table, because being a CPA, I'm risk averse.
Right. Oh, that totally makes sense.
But as an entrepreneur, I embrace risk. So between the two, it makes me a profitable poker player.
Nice. And how much of it has to do with like tells, like learning the other players? Or are you more interested in just the analytics, or do you get into that? Because for me, I love playing poker. I love video poker because I'm not competing against people and my mind works very good like that. But I hate like bluffing and pretending I have something, or like you said, being aggressive when I have nothing, but pretending like I have something. I'm not good at any of that stuff like that. So I feel like that in itself is an art that I don't think your accounting would teach you.
The accounting doesn't, but the entrepreneurial side does.
Yeah.
The ability to take risks, and it's something you can train yourself on. You can analyze it and say, well, I've got to do these things, and force yourself to do them. And I've gotten more aggressive over the last few years as I've played a lot more poker. So yeah, it's part and parcel of being a poker players. You've got to do those things to be successful.
Yeah, I just don't love it. The whole bluffing for me, I'm like, I mean, maybe if I practice enough, I could get good at it. I guess care enough to try, but
Well, I play at stakes that aren't life changing. So if I lose a buy-in, I don't miss it. Okay. So, I watch some of these video vlogs, and they're playing for, they'll have $300,000 on the table they sit down with, and I'm going, no, I'm never going to put that kind of money at risk. No, I'm not going to do it.
right.
$300 is a lot to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, to
So,
most of us, to all of us.
when I see Rampage bluff for $100,000 at a pot, no, I'm never going to do that.
Yeah. Oh, well, and for me, that's one of my biggest frustrations is like second card all in. I'm like, wait, so in order just to stay in, I've got to match, even though I think I got something pretty good, but I don't know if I got something that good, and I don't know what's coming up over here. So that's what I hate about it. There's like, I hate the all in early on. It just kills me. And so then I get scared and I back out because I just think, well, he must got something good, and I really don't.
And that's when you have to learn your opponents.
Okay.
And if you play with them enough, you start to learn, and you go, okay, the way he did that and the cards that are out there, no, that doesn't make sense. He's probably bluffing. Call.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll be right, and sometimes you won't be. And that's the variance.
And then sometimes people just get lucky on the river, and it's like, dang, how'd that happen?
I had one yesterday in a tournament. My last hand, I had him dominated, and he went runner to beat me.
Wow.
It was I was 90+% to win the hand, and didn't. 9 out of 10 times I would have, but that was the 10th time.
Yep. And those are the ones where you're like, well, there you go. You got lucky, man.
So I was out of the tournament, went and played cash, and won my tournament buy-in back.
There you go. Smart. Do you ever go to casinos where they have the video poker machines, or do you just like playing with people?
I've played the video poker, but it's not something I really enjoy. I'm not a slot player either. I like the poker table, and I like the competition.
So you're a competitive person.
Every Marine's competitive. Every entrepreneur is competitive.
Yeah.
So I'm a competitive person. I always have been. I had to learn. That was something that I learned early on, is not to compete with my children.
Same. You want them to stay in the game and just be like, I don't want to play with you. You got to give them a little.
You got to give them a little bit and let them get better. Let them enjoy it.
Yeah.
Show them, teach them, and with your wife too. So
smart. But see, you took for granted your premise of happy wife is happy life, but all men do not operate that way. Absolutely not.
They're fools.
Right. Agreed. So yeah. Nice. So how can our guests find you? And it sounds like you have an amazing service. If we hadn't just gone through changing companies again last year, I would for sure be looking you up, but definitely if and when we're ready to switch again, you'll be my first call.
And if you're not happy for whatever reason, give us a call. We're obviously, as the background shows, GetPayroll. We're all over the web. My email is CJR, Charles J. Reed, at custompayroll.com or at getpayroll.com. Custom Payroll is the legal entity. GetPayroll is how we go to market. Okay. And if you've got a question, 972-353-0000.
Nice.
Ask for Charles.
That's amazing. So my last question, because this kept us in that comfortable hell for a long time, because the transition to a new company was so painful a couple different times, that we were like, we're just going to stay in this, because going through the process of changing companies is painful, can be. Getting all that stuff transferred over, especially if you have multiple employees. Is your process for transitioning into you easy? Painless?
We think so. It's never painless.
Yeah.
We try to make it as easy as possible. We work very hard at that, and we also don't make it hard to leave. If a client wants to leave us for whatever reason, we make it as easy as possible, because we get a lot of them. They come back later because their experience where they go didn't turn out like they expected, and the pricing they were lied to about, and so on and so forth. We try to make it as easy as possible. For your listeners, the best time to change is January 1, the first of the year. It makes it easier. There's no historical things to put in. It's very easy to get started at January 1. The next best time is whenever you're ready.
There you go.
So we're always willing to take on new clients. Frankly, if a client comes to us now in late November, we're going to really suggest they wait till the first of the year for everybody's purpose, because it can be a nightmare to change this late in the year. Anytime during the first quarter is fine. And we change clients all year long, but this late in the year, well into fourth quarter, we prefer to wait till the first of the year. It just makes it so much easier for everybody.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean you can't do all the prepared work so that on Jan 1, it's an instant changeover.
We've got a number of clients who are coming aboard January 1 already.
Yeah.
This is our selling season.
Yeah.
So they're already providing the data. We have electronic files out to them to input the stuff they need, or to send us what they have, so we can set up all the employees and all the tax rates and all the specifications and the general ledger, whatever else they need that we can do for them. So for the first payroll in January, we'll walk them through it with them online to make sure everything works, and boom, they're there. It's set. Nice. And we take care of it after that. And if they have any questions, pick up a phone call. One of our operations people will talk to them. They can ask for the same person over and over and over, and they're there. If they're working from home, they'll take the call at home. We put it to their extension, and it rings at the house, and they'll pick it up and do the work, because it's all in the cloud now. So they work from the house, and just like they were working from their desk at work. So everything works seamlessly. So yeah, it's not a problem. And we do very much work at making it easy, because we know how difficult and traumatic it can be. And that's why we don't make it difficult as some of our competitors do to leave. We don't feel that's fair to a client. And again, a lot of them come back to us, and we don't lose very many. But the few that do, many of them come back to us later on because things weren't right, and they were misled, and their experience wasn't what they wanted. So yeah, we're always happy to see clients. In our business, it's never no, it's just not now. Okay. Yeah. So we view everybody as a potential client. We view you as a potential client, and one of these days, you're not going to be happy with your payroll provider for whatever reason. Price, service, they screw up. I had one lady that called. Their current payroll company had just messed up the president's check for the third payroll in a row, and he said, "Find somebody else."
Yeah. Of all the people, that's not the one you want messing up.
Exactly. So yeah, we bend over backwards for our clients. That's the way I was raised. That's the way our business runs. We do whatever it takes to make the client happy.
Yeah.
We're small enough that we can do that. We don't have to have procedures cast in stone of this is what you'll say, and this is what you'll send, and this is what you do, and you nickel and dime them for everything. Yeah. Oh, they want another report that's electronic. Okay. That takes some fraction of a computer second to generate. but it's $5 a payroll.
Yeah, that's good.
What?
Yeah.
No, we don't nickel and dime our clients. We treat them like friends. Many of them have become friends. We've got clients that have been with us 30 years.
Wow.
So
yeah, that's amazing. Well, and the one thing we touched on from the beginning, which I think is so awesome, is you are made in the USA. All your people are here by supporting you. We're supporting our country and everything involved, which it goes a long way, I believe, for sure.
We think so too. Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Charles, so much for coming on the show. It's been delightful talking with you. I really appreciate you.
Angie, it's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Have an awesome rest of your day. I guess your day is done. Good for you. All right. Thanks.